Hey guys! Today I'm going to show you how to make the Zentangle silhouette. So this is using positive and negative space. So let's talk about what that means. Positive space is in the red. Positive is the space occupied in areas. So it's where it's actually filled up with stuff in your art. So usually most of the stuff we draw is positive space. Think about it, if you were in the art, it's anything that you could physically touch. So this drawing of a mountain goat. You could physically touch the goat, you could touch the ground. So that is the positive space. Negative space is over in green. Green, for that negative space, is all the area that is unoccupied by stuff. So that means it's the area around things. Now, it's more than just saying it's the air, but air is a large part of it. So it's everything around that goat. It's also in between the legs. Okay, so that is all negative space because it's not occupied by anything. There's nothing there, so it's negative. So this idea of positive and negative space is what we're going to be playing around with in this project. The other thing that we're going to be using is what's called a Zentangle. Ooh, can't see me. So a Zentangle is a piece of art made from many different patterns. You start by splitting up your page and drawing it into sections. Those are the tangles. And then you fill each section with a different pattern, usually with black and white. Now we're trying to make sure that each pattern is different and that it has really good contrast. Contrast is when things are opposite. Black and white are opposite. Okay, so you see how these examples here are just filled with all different types of patterns. Now it's called a Zentangle because the idea of this is you're supposed to really find your zen while you're working. It's supposed to be a relaxing process. It's not a super fast process, but it is pretty easy. It just takes some time. You're meant to kind of just lose yourself in your artwork. So what we're going to do is we are going to put these two ideas together and make an animal silhouette like this, where the Zentangles is the positive space, and that black area is the negative space, that area around it. And now you're going to be putting in an animal or any sort of object you want to kind of show those opposites. We can see here the pattern is the positive, black is the negative, and it flips on this side. Pattern positive, black negative. We're kind of playing around with how you can fill those different spaces. So let me show you some student examples. So with this, you're going to be drawing, and you're also going to want to have some extra paper that you're going to want to cut out and glue down for this. Now these are just some different animals that they chose to do. You can choose any type of animal, any object. You can do whatever you want for this, as long as it has a really nice silhouette. So that outer outline of it is really easily recognizable. Okay, so let's talk about some good things and bad things. First, let's go things to avoid. First off is sloppy coloring. If you don't work very neatly, then you're going to have a challenge when it comes to how nice your whole project's going to look. You want to take your time and color it nice and slow. If you're sloppy with your coloring, it's not going to look very good. The other thing you want to really focus on is making sure that your patterns fill up enough space. If we look down here at this bottom one, these patterns have a lot of white space around them. They're not really filling them really nicely, so there's not a lot of that great contrast. Like up at the top, there's a lot of contrast from the black and white, but towards the bottom, they left a lot of spaces empty. You got to make sure you fill it up enough. Now let's talk about things that you want to do. Main thing is you want to make sure you put a light pattern next to a dark pattern. So you see here we got that darker pattern because it has more lines next to the lighter one with less lines. Putting those two next to each other makes your artwork look more interesting. Then you also, if you want to try to add some more value to your pieces, can add a background behind your patterns. If we look at this very bottom one here, it has that kind of plant looking pattern, but then it also has a crosshatch behind it. That makes it look darker. That's a great trick to try to make your values darker and better. Now, I did make a video that goes step by step on how to do this whole process. The other link back on the choice board will take you to this whole PowerPoint and you can watch the video from there. Also at the very end, I included some pictures of different Zentangle examples. So there's lots of different ones you can look through so you can create your own patterns, or you're welcome to use one of these ones I found here. So the Zentangle positive and negative space silhouette is a fun project to do. It does take a little longer, but it's a great way to relax and kind of waste the day away.